Hey guys, thank you for joining us today. I love you. Mwah. That's my main. Thank you for joining us today. Tell me something. How long have you been running from your past, from your thoughts, from the mirror? It's an exhausting job, isn't it? What if instead of running, we decided to stop, breathe, and face ourselves? What if the story that we've been avoiding is the very one thing that is holding on to all the strength that we need in order to move forward and rebuild ourselves? Hi, Leslie, thank you for joining me. What I want us to work on today is understanding that we have the power of rewriting our story, of deciding how our story ends. And I know that it sounds very cliche, right? Like we hear that everywhere. But in reality, when we take charge of what's going to happen next, is when we really are able to grab what happened to us and turn it into the power that is going to help us propel forward, right? Oftentimes we think that if we work harder, if we smile more, if we stay busy, the past is not going to be able to reach us and it's not going to be able to touch us. However, the truth is that that hidden pain always finds its way out, right? Is going to show up as fear, is going to show up as insecurities, is going to show up as doubt, is going to show up as the feeling that no matter how much we achieve is never enough. We always need to go to the next project, the next big thing. And I know this because I've lived it my entire life. And I want to tell you this: facing yourself is not a punishment. It is hard. But it is also the first act of freedom. It is our first step towards achieving a greater life and stepping away from that mentality of I gotta hustle, hustle, hustle to be more, but rather turning it around and deciding to heal. Healing is the new hustle. And I know that resonated with a few of you guys. The problem is that most of us believe that we're already we've already dealt with what hurt us, right? Um, I spoke about this in the past two lives, and what's very clear to me is that we just buried it. We put makeup on it. And that buried pain doesn't disappear. It's not going to go away. It's going to show up in our relationships. It's going to show up in the way that we see our body, in the way that we treat ourselves. It's going to show up in the way that we hold ourselves back from what we truly deserve, right? The stories we tell ourselves about what we can't have, the things we want. That is that pain resurfacing. And I'm here today because I want to help you stop running. I want to help you break those chains of that pain that you lived in the past and all those things that might have happened to you that you put in the back burner. And I want you to step into the author seat and rewrite your own story. How is this going to end? Are you going to end up being the victim, the one that this thing happened to, right? The one that got the diagnosis, the one that was abused, the one that got cheated on, the one that got fired? Or are you going to take that and make it the one thing that made you take the leap? So today we're going to talk about that, rewriting our story, right? And I'm going to leave you guys with 3 tips that are going to help us do that. The first tip is going to be what I think is one of the hardest ones, and that is facing the mirror with honesty, facing yourself with honesty, right? The second one is going to be embracing your scars as proof of strength. The things that have happened to you have happened for you, and really stepping into that. And then the third one is going to be the author, not the victim, right? Turning on that power of, okay, well, now I get to decide what happens. So 3 tips, I'll recap them. Face the mirror with honesty, embrace your scars as proof of strength, and be the author, not the victim. I have people on both screens. This feels so amazing. So number 1, face the mirror with honesty. How do we do this, right? This is the most difficult part, in my opinion, and it's exactly what I'm doing right now and why I want to share this. It's important that we stop pretending that we're okay when we're not. Healing starts when we admit that something is hurting, when we admit that we need help. The truth is gonna heal faster than the denial, right? We can keep running, we can keep busy, we can keep doing, but it's going to catch up to us and it's going to resurface in the least desired moment. Sometimes we learn to bury our pain until it's gone, and I'm talking about years, decades perhaps. For me, it was decades. But in reality, it becomes the lens that we see everything through, right? For me, love, trust, even your own worth was affected by the things that happened to me as a little girl, right? And that's why facing these things matter. And it matters right now. The second thing that is very important is to embrace our scars as proof of our strength, right? And there is something that I thought about that it's really sitting with me and that I want to share with you. And that is, we look at scars as negative things, right? We look at scars as things that are ugly. What if we what if we looked at our scars? What if we believed that our scars were like our crowns, right? I think I'm saying crowns because I'm able to relate to that, right? What would your life look like if you believed that your scars were your crowns? How big would your crown be? And I think that's what's going to make this switch in your head. Scars are not weaknesses. Scars are proof of survival. Each scar that you have, whether if it's visible or invisible, says that you've made it through something, right? And instead of hiding them, we need to start honoring them. I was always very afraid of sharing my story and sharing my scars because I did not want to be titled that, right? However, the moment that we take away that power from whatever happened, you start walking through life like you're wearing crowns, like your crown is just getting bigger. As someone that has walked through betrayal from a very young age, this I know what these earlier wounds in my life feel like. And I know what it feels like to think that scars make you less. However, over time, and especially right now, I'm learning that they don't take away from who I am. They make me more. They make me who I am, right? This warrior that you guys admire, this person that is able to get so much done. Hi, Anika. Hi, Laurita. This person was made by all of those wounds, by all of those scars. And if I choose to hide that from you guys, is that if I choose to not acknowledge that all of these things are happening to me or have happened to me, then I'm not wearing my crown with pride. So I like to invite you guys to start making that switch in your head, right? Every time that you're able to overcome something, do so and do it with a lot of pride because it truly builds your character and the way that you're going to be able to continue to walk through life. So we spoke about facing yourself in the mirror with honesty, and I'm going to leave you guys. I know that a lot of you guys watch this recorded afterwards. I'm going to leave you guys with a homework when it comes to facing the mirror with honesty, facing yourself in the mirror with honesty. We spoke about number 2, which was embracing your scars as proof of strength and wearing them as that crown that I so proudly wear. And then I want us to chat about the third one, the third part of this, which is honestly the most important one in this entire life. And that is to decide to be the author of your story and not the victim. The moment that we decide that we're not a victim of what happened to us is the moment that we step into freedom, right? Being the author means daring to ask yourself, what if my next chapter is the most beautiful one yet, right? When we walk through life looking at all of the things that happened to us, we walk with some weight. And what if instead we rolled our shoulders back and we said, listen, I know I'm not going to erase my past. I can't change it. I'm not going to erase the pain that I went through. The horrible things that made me fall down, break into pieces, cry, have panic attacks, have anxiety attacks, seek help, whatever it is. We're not going to be able to erase that. That's part of our story, whether we share it or not, right? But what if we redeem it by writing something greater? There's an exercise that I do with my clients here at KFIT called Be Do Have, in which we literally write down all of our negative traits, right? Unhealthy traits, negative characteristics, however you want to call them. We make a list of 1 through 10, And in the process of recreating ourselves and creating our second identity, this new persona that we're going to step into, that we're going to become, we literally flip those characteristics into the positive version of them, right? And that's the power that we have. Hola, Florecita Hermosa. We have the ability to flip the script. We have the ability to throw in a plot twist anytime in our story. So if you picked up the pen right now, if you picked up the pen right now, what is the first line of your next chapter? What if you throw in some what ifs, right? Because we're usually being held back by those chains of the things that happen to us. But what if we liberated ourselves from those chains and we said, you know what? What if I did this, this, and this, and it worked? What if I met this person? What if this opportunity actually worked for me? What if I applied for this and I got it approved? Like, start thinking big so that you can truly step into the magnitude of the things that you can get done, and you can start pulling them into your reality, right? You're manifesting all of that. I've been talking to my private Instagram, WhatsApp community, um, and ever since our first live, I think of our community of women, our sorority, our sisterhood as a pride of lionesses, right? And the way I think of it in this particular topic is a lioness doesn't let her wounds silence her roar, right? She's still going to lead her pride. She's still going to claim her territory. She's still going to go out and feed. And you too can do that while showing up for your job, showing up for your kids, showing up for your family. You can still pick up the pen and rewrite and roar as you write your next chapter. But you have to take charge. You have to make the decision of, you know what? I'm going to try and start pulling this into my reality every single day. Like, you got to be stubborn about it. Today, I want you to think of the what ifs, right? Throw yourself a good pile of possibilities, not the negative story, the positive ones, because our brain, and this is something that I tell my clients a lot during class, your brain doesn't know what's real and what's not. Just like you can, and I know that you can all relate to this, and drop me a comment in the chat if I'm right. Hi, Parker. You know those times that we create these movies in our head, negative things, like what if this person is doing this? Hi, Maria. We create these big movies in our head and we get mad, we get sad, we get depressed, we're mad at our significant other because I thought in my mind, I imagine you doing this, 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 and that, right? We create those alternate realities in our head. Oftentimes they're negative and we believe them. Your brain believes it. What if we flip the script and instead of creating those alternate negative realities, we created positive ones? What if you created a reality in which you are showing up to the gym at whatever your perfect time to work out is, with your cup of whatever your favorite coffee is, in your dream car, and you get greeted by yours truly, right? Start pulling that into your reality. In fact, there's a way of doing this by creating your dream day. Is a mentorship activity in which you literally grab a blank piece of paper and you write what your dream day would be like, down to the T, like the details of, like, I woke up covered with a fluffy white comforter. My bedroom walls are light gray. I woke up next to or by myself. The first thing that I did was meditate or tapping or like whatever it is, create your dream day, because that is the only way that we're going to really be able to step into the things that we want. If we don't feed it into our brain, they're never going to come to us. If we don't feed it into our brain, we're never going to be able to write that story. We need to literally grab a pen and a piece of paper and create those alternate realities so that they can take place. I want you to stop running from yourself. The woman that you've been avoiding or putting in the back burning or hiding is actually the strongest version of you. She's the author, she's the lioness, she's the leader of your own life. And once you find her, no one can stop you. I am in this moment of my life stepping into her, right? Taking imperfect action, showing up for lives with you guys every Friday, getting comfortable with talking about my story, because I know that in doing the homework, I am picking up that pen and I'm rewriting my story. Hola Rixa, gracias por acompañarme. I want to invite you to do the same exact thing. I want you to face the mirror with honesty. If you want to learn more about that Be Do Have activity that I do with my clients, join me in my private WhatsApp community so that we can get it done. It's a beautiful activity of watching ourselves and studying what are some of the things that we know that we can be doing better, and flipping them over and becoming that person, right? Showing up as that person. How does she dress? What Instagram accounts does she follow or unfollow, right? What music does she listen to? How does she walk into a room? How fast does she speak? These are all of the things that you can start thinking of. How does she speak to herself? How does she speak to her kids, to her significant other? Is she usually in her masculine or her feminine energy? These are all of the things that we can start programming ourselves into doing. And it takes work. And unless someone is keeping you accountable to do this work, it's going to take longer. That's why we work with a pride. That's why we're a group of lionesses keeping each other accountable. You know what else lionesses do? They take care of each other's kids. Did you guys know that? How beautiful. A group of strong, feline, sexy animals that not only organize themselves to go hunt and provide, but that heal each other, keep each other companionship and protection, and take care of each other's young. That's us. Today, I want to invite you to join us if this message resonated with you. I'd love for you to join that private WhatsApp community because it's a free space and it's where I'm going to continue to share tools, activities, inspiration, support to help you and help me stop running and start rewriting our story. The group is open now. I'll be sharing the link. And I would like to ask you to take that step for yourself today, especially if you're usually feeling very connected to this type of topics, but then you leave them here. I don't want this to stay here. I don't want your growth, the next version of yourself, the next chapter of your book to stay here in this 30-minute live. I want you to take charge, pick up the pen, grab that piece of paper, and get it done. Remember, face the mirror with honesty. We're going to start working on ourselves. Join the group, sign up for therapy, do the workshops, do the courses, pick up the pen and paper. Embrace your scars as proof of strength. Start wearing your scars, the things that have happened to us, for us, really, as your crown. As your crown. Wear it as a crown. Yes, I am this CEO, this mom, this incredible overachiever because I had to go through X, Y, and Z first. We walked through that fire first to get to where we are. Nobody that is up there with the elite has had an easy path. No one. And I can tell you that because I have met a lot of them. And if you guys have a story to share, if you guys have something that is holding you back, that you had to go through, come and share it with us. Share it with yourself. Don't hide it. Don't put makeup on it. The very first time that I stepped on a stage to talk about me and my story was with Rixavet in the Mime stage. And because I was afraid of telling the deep story, I literally told the story of how I was in a relationship with someone and I ended up separating from the relationship due to infidelity. So I moved on and I decided to be a single mom. Um, as a single mom and at the age of 29, don't ask me how I bought my first house. I moved into this home with my 4-year-old and I decided that I was going to rewrite my story. And that was that was definitely a peak moment for me, right? Is one of those core memories, milestones that I'm still very proud of. But I gave all of my credit, all of the credit of who K-Fit was, how K-Fit began, to that man, right? To that person that I had decided to separate from and start from scratch. Where in reality, I was putting the little girl inside of me in the back burning and telling her, shh, don't tell everybody your real story. That story is ugly. We don't want people to know that part. Let's tell them how you overcame and you got separated and you became a single mom and you bought a house and you started a business in your garage. Let's tell people that story. That story we're proud of. You want your kids hearing that story. We don't want our kids hearing this story from when we were little and all of the things that happened in the back burner. But we do, because that's the real story. I didn't get to where I was at that moment because I had gotten separated at the age of 29 and I bought a house and I started my business in my garage, which is now a thriving business of 10 years. That was part of it, but the real warrior was born when I was 4 to 14 years old. That's when I became a warrior. That's when I had to step into the woman that right now you guys all admire. And that's what I would like for you to step into as well. Embrace those scars, wear them as your crown. They're proof of your strength. And last but not least, be the author of your own story, not the victim. You're going to grab that and you're going to share it and you're going to magnify it and you're going to turn it into the most beautiful story. You get to write that ending. And if it doesn't go as planned, you rewrite it. You pick up another piece of paper, crumble that one, and start all over again. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I would like to again invite you to join me in our private community in WhatsApp. If this resonated with you, leave me a comment. I know a lot of you guys see these videos afterwards. So again, your support, your presence means the world to me. It heals me to be here making these videos and putting in the work to heal you. And I can't wait to see you on the other side outside of workout clothes. Love y'all.